Hi, I'm Lauren Eldaher, and welcome to my channel where we are talking about all things Florida real estate. You know the drill. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up so I know to make more just like it. And if you're interested in Florida living, click subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. So, you're ready to buy a home. It probably took you a while to get here. You've been working and saving and planning, so congratulations. But before you sign that contract for what is most likely the most expensive purchase you've ever made, let's talk about what you need to know. For purposes of this video, I'm mostly referring to the Florida FAR as-is residential contract for sale and purchase, because that's mostly what we use around here. FAR. I know it sounds weird, but what it means is that the contract was put together by the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar. And I know what you're thinking. Lauren, you're a member of both of those. Did you write this? But no one asked my opinion. Even though this contract was made by two professional organizations, you do not have to be a member of either one of them to use it. Anyone can use it. But just because you can use it on your own doesn't necessarily mean you should. First of all, this needs to be said. Make sure you are working with an agent who understands purchase contracts. I'm one of them, or I can help you find one in your area, so just reach out any way you're comfortable. Because there are some agents out there who just throw deals together and worry about the consequences later. They make verbal deals outside of the contract that never come to fruition. They don't understand the timelines, and there are big consequences for this stuff. You could lose out on the house of your dreams, or you could lose your whole deposit, which for some people means they can no longer buy a house. So make sure you are working with a top-of-the-line agent. Also, work with someone who will spend the time with you to make sure you understand every bit of the contract that you're signing. Not every agent loves talking about contracts as much as I do. Let's start simple. Make sure you know what you're buying. This sounds silly, right? I'm gonna buy the house. But this causes a lot of issues. Pay special attention to the property description section of the contract. Are you under the impression that the washer and dryer are to convey with the property? Make sure they're listed in this section. What about the porch swing? Or the backyard playground equipment, or those window treatments you really liked? Go room by room with your agent and tell your agent all the things that you're expecting to get when you buy the property, and then make sure it's in the contract. Make sure that the contract form you choose either includes the desired item in the pre-printed language, or you add it to the personal property section to make that part of the transaction. Also, don't rely on what is listed in the MLS posting you saw. The contract is most important. It will trump the MLS posting. So if it's listed on MLS but not in the contract, you aren't entitled to it. Also, make sure you know when you're buying it. The closing date. You know what day is convenient for you to show up and sign a bunch of documents, and the sellers know what day is convenient for them to move. So why am I talking about this? Because you should consider the effect the closing date will have on your mortgage. Mortgage interest accrues from the date of closing through the last day of the month. So if you close at the end of the month, less accrues. But then your first mortgage payment will also be due sooner. First payment is made on the first of the month following the 30-day period after the closing. So it also means you'll start making mortgage payments sooner and building equity sooner. It really depends on what's most important to you, but before you sign off on the date, you should understand the consequences of it money-wise, because it's more than just a date. Let's talk about earnest money, which is a deposit made to the seller to demonstrate that the buyer's good faith to buy the home. This deposit allows the buyer the time to secure their financing and do their due diligence by conducting a title search, property appraisal, inspections, all before the closing. Sometimes the earnest money is broken up into two payments, one before the inspection period and then one after the inspection period. Another way to protect your deposit is through contingencies. Now, contingencies are clauses in the contract that allow one side to walk away from their obligations under the contract if certain conditions aren't met. It's basically an out. One type is an inspection contingency. This makes closing conditional on a buyer being okay with the results of home inspections. When you use this contingency, a buyer pays for the inspections that can help them find problems with the home that they didn't necessarily see with the naked eye during the showing, such as foundational problems, electrical problems, or plumbing problems. After the inspection, if the buyer no longer wants to purchase the home, they can terminate the contract with no penalty. They receive their deposit back, and they really only lose the cost of the inspection. Another type is the financing contingency. This makes closing conditional on the buyer obtaining financing. So before you put your offer in, you probably got pre-approved or pre-qualified, but that doesn't mean you will definitely be granted a mortgage. Having this contingency in place allows the buyers an out in the event that the lender refuses to underwrite a mortgage once the lender looks further into your qualifications. The last type we'll talk about is the appraisal contingency. To obtain financing, the lender will send an appraiser to examine the property and assess its fair market value. If the appraised value comes in less than what you're paying, the lender will not want to fund the loan. By including an appraisal contingency, you can back out if the fair market value is lower than what you're paying. Put simply, this contingency saves you from paying more than the home is worth. The next thing you need to know before you sign on the dotted line, why do people say that? The line isn't dotted. Sorry, I lost my focus. You need to know your deadlines. Once the offer is accepted, you're going to feel like celebrating, but the deal isn't done. Don't lose focus like I just did. When you sign a purchase contract, you're agreeing to a timeline for deposits, inspections, contingencies, and closing. If these things do not happen in the agreed upon timeframes, the transaction could fall apart and put your deposit in jeopardy. Calendar all of these dates to make sure you understand them. A few tips on this. Dates are calculated from the effective date of the contract. The effective date is the day the last party signed the contract and returned a copy to all the parties. Calendar days, as opposed to weekdays, are used to calculate the time periods for some events. If the period ends on a weekend or a national holiday, then the time period will extend to the next business day at 5 p.m. I do not expect you to understand what I just said, but it's important you understand the timelines in your contract, so read them. A good way to familiarize yourself with the contract is obviously to read it. If you would like a copy of the most updated version of the contract to look over, or any documents related to buying or selling a home, call, text, or email me and I'll get you a copy. I hope this video helped you identify a few important things you need to know before signing that big, long, scary contract. If you have any more questions, ask them in the comment section below or reach out to me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Happy house hunting!